Is something.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this,
You have to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky?
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever, whenever, however you all are. Welcome to Toxic Tuesday, episode 169. Ooh, see there's a 69, dudes. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Let's acknowledge those wonderful faces in the chat. Let's look here. I see a Darth Viewer, Yeknomino, Nick the Greek, Matthew Marzillo, Dave C, Jonathan Conroy, 11 Alpha, Debon Martin, and other faces as they will come piling on in, dog piling on each other as we come along together. And of course, I gotta say this because I know it's repetitive territory, but it's relevant territory. We dual stream the Rumble, second hour, usually around hour and 15, hour 20 into this show. So for those who like to have it both ways, you can dual stream. All else, you just want to stick to YouTube now until you have to come on Rumble. I'm just letting you know. Otherwise, you can pick your spot. If you want to be a Rumble only, you can do that too. So here is the Rumble link in the chat for those who like to have it in and out. In and out. See what I did there? So yeah, obviously a few things. Obviously tonight, talking Jet Li's The One. I'm excited about it. Huge, diabolical. And then next week, you guys get to vote on that. If you go, I'll right click and look at on my, they used to call it community tab, but now it's called the post tab, which is actually more appropriate. And under the post tab, I am running a vote for next week's Jet Li movie to talk about between Hero and Romeo Must Die, both Jet Li-centric movies. Right now, there's over 25 votes, and Hero is in the lead by a mad landslide. So if you're one of those who wants it to be Romeo Must Die, well, you got to actually vote, because here you won't have any 3 a.m. ballot dumps, and your vote actually will count. And even if you lose, at least you can sleep with the peace of mind that your vote actually counted. So please go vote for the movie. And Nick the Regis said just vote for whatever wins, wins. So that's going to be decided for next week by you guys. I will stop at it once it's at least at 75 votes. And also, another thing, it's doing pretty well so far. I did a review for A Working Man. Once again, do the right click, open their tab. Save that video to watch later if you haven't watched it. If you have watched it, thank you, by the way. Do watch that video because people seem to really be liking my review for A Working Man from Jason Statham. What's up, Philip A. Demick? It's been a long time. Huge indeed, my dude. Hell yeah, dude. Phil. So yeah. So vote for Hero or Romeo Must Die. And of course, watch the video on A Working Man later on your Watch Later tab. All that all said, I'm ready to talk some Jet Li and get some fish flying and, multiverse and shit. This movie is kind of a bit ahead of its time in some really crazy ways. So we're going to talk about that though. So let's bring in our dudes. Let's just say one by one. Hi, Mark.
Hello, good to see you. There can only be one. I did Highlander tonight for the movie. Crap, I thought the line was there can be only one. So shit. Just kidding. April Fools. Oh yeah, bogus. Mark, come on, be better, get better. But
feel better, Mark. You
better.
should really think about the people around you.
Right?
You gotta think about the people around you.
Get better. But yeah, and this is also a Statham movie too, right? He's more, obviously a supporting player in this, but
with hair on his head, it's so weird.
Yeah,
and with an Americanized voice that goes in and out hilariously.
But I guess this is. But what year was this movie? Yeah, I'm forgetting.
2001. It came out
so
2 months
before.
after 9/11 happened.
Okay, so it's before his career is taken off.
Yes, definitely before the Transporter. I think almost a year before.
Yeah, and Carla, you forget how gorgeous she was back in the day too. I mean, she's smoking as the two different, his wife and Jet Li's wife. But we'll bring in other dudes and we'll talk about how smoking she is, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, guys, that 70s Rock fan unfortunately not be here. We wish the best for him. He's got some stuff going on. And we wish our good friend the best because he's a great dude and shit happens, man. And a man like him deserves better shit. So, until then, we got just another red shirt. I don't know where Dustin or Tom are, maybe. But either way, if it's just us three, we do just fine with the three of us. So either way, it's going to be all good. Is that right? Just another red shirt?
Well, I have one small problem here.
Oh,
when you said we're doing the one, I thought we were going to talk about The Matrix.
Oh,
so Mark's got the wrong slides and I watched the wrong movie. We're in deep trouble right now, dude.
Oh, I got the right slides. I was teasing.
I know you do. I figured I would follow. I figured I would just pitch my wagon to your standard joke there. No, this is the first time I've seen it. And while yes, I think there's an awful lot of The Matrix inspiring this movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on. This is Jet Li twice. Well, actually, 147 times we've seen Jet Li in this movie.
Double the Jet, double the Li.
Yes.
Double the swinging hair of Jet Li as well.
Bill and Ted has shown up in this movie as a cameo. That would have been so awesome when they're going through the
would have been.
And they'd pass Bill and Ted and Rufus. I'd have paid for that. It's like
and it would have been, what Jet Li would say, should have just said to somebody, who are those guys?
Yeah.
And they'd watch him walk by and go, come on, all with me. No way.
No way, man. Bro.
Yeah, that would have been funny. That really would have been funny. I like the movie. I mean the finals. The only problem I had with the final scene, which we'll get to, I'll just say it now, is that I don't play modern video games, but I watch people on YouTube play modern video games, and this looked like a video game where somebody turned off the fall damage.
Well, it did come out in 2001, and there was parts of movies in 2001 where CG was either really peaking or still in some stages where, guys, we can do better. So, and you do get a bit of both in that. Now, however, the fight choreography is absolutely astounding. Now, I will say, though, if there's one thing I gotta give about this movie 24 years later, is usually when you do something based off like the future, the multiverse, every movie show that tries to cover that concept whenever that property is, let's just say, 20 years old or more, you can already tell it looks like it's super duper dated. And that's not saying it's bad or good. It's just that it looks super dated. However, a lot of the futuristic elements in this movie actually still look good and still look like they could represent the future. Because, like, let's put it this way. Mark would probably know what I'm alluding to here. When you look at Marvel 2099 comics, I know it's trying to be in 2099, but when you look back at those old issues, it feels so freaking 90s, does it not?
Yeah. It's. I mean, I love Peter David and some of the stuff you
still
wrote.
Great.
But,
Still great stuff.
Great. But yeah, and predicting the future is really, really tough. So I mean, 2001 is one movie that probably got it right. But like the phone, just the phone they're using in this movie, yeah, it's got a keypad and stuff, but that screen that pops up and gets bigger. I mean, we're already talking, phones that fold open. So yeah, maybe not exactly, but that phone did look really futuristic. I thought that was a really cool device and well done.
The problem that all movies about the future and all futurists have was summed up in one sentence by a famous science fiction writer whose name I cannot remember off the top of my head, when he said, "The future ain't what it used to be."
Yes.
And that's always true.
Right.
And that's the problem with trying to write a story that predicts the future. So if you can write a story or you can make a movie that 24 years later looks remotely like the future, you've done a hell of a job, because most science fiction writers will admit it's a bear to do. And they know that at some point, they don't know how long it will take, but at some point the future won't be what it used to be, and the story will look dated. So this movie does have those elements that are pretty damn good, no question. I was just laughing at the number of things that were, because first of all, let's just realize how many movies in the last 25 years or thereabouts have been influenced by the Matrix. Bullet Time.
Oh God, yeah.
Impossible Falls. A cross between Hong Kong Wire Fu and Matrix fights between Neo and Agent Smith. I mean, the Wire Fu in here is what they were making fun of, or at least parodying, in Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
It's a style of Hong Kong Kung Fu movies that's been around for long before this movie was made. It wasn't new.
Nope.
But they to make it futuristic, I think they tried to take a little bit from the Matrix and take the old tried and true Wire Fu and turn it into a movie. And it's a vehicle for Jet Li that actually does work. And I just want to say, somebody posted on Twitter, that Jason Statham has looked 40 years old for the last 25 years, and I've got to disagree. He's looked 40 years old for the last 22 years, because he doesn't look 40 in this movie. He really doesn't. Yeah.
And I stopped it here because our favorite almost president.
Yes.
Al Gore. So you youngins don't remember that, but I remember waiting like, who's going to be the president? So back in the day, Florida, they had the hanging chads, and they were trying to review all the ballots and see what ballots counted. And the Supreme Court finally came in and said, "That's it." Bush is president. That was the first time that they went not the first time, but they went nuts over the election.
Well, the Gore team tried to get the Florida Supreme Court to weigh in their favor. And the Supreme Court told him, "You can't change the rules in the middle of the game."
Yeah,
by
the way,
so
that's been so misrepresented and misreported. It's not even funny. Even the New York Times finally weighed in and admitted, yeah, it was legit. But you're right. It was an absolute shit show. And you could easily see how that event in Florida created two timelines, one in which Gore was president and the other in which Bush was president, because that's got to be what that would be a Doctor Who. This is a fixed point in time. I can't screw with it.
Yep. And I know you got to get to Christian's super chat, but the always thing I said to people who are whining about it, like, if you can't effing win your own home state, Al Gore's home state of Tennessee, then he don't deserve to be president. So if he had won his home state,
Well, to be fair,
basically
Trump
grew up.
didn't win his state both times either.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you can't, he didn't complain. Complaining about it. Gore, he went nuts. It's like he would have easily won his home state back then if he had ever actually lived there. Yeah. But he basically grew up in D.C., the son of a senator, so he had no ties. But yeah, Trump got closer in New York, though. Yep.
Yeah, he did improve.
Closer.
I'll give him that. I'll absolutely give credit where it's due. So, by the way, what will be commenting on Rumble? Welcome to the show. You are clearly new here. I saw you're a recent follower on Rumble. Enjoy the show, sir, especially in this live presentation. And on the YouTube side, we got a Canadian $5 from my man, Christian Delorme. He says, bonjour, everybody. I hung out with him Saturday night in the member stream. A toxic Tuesday joke. My girlfriend left me, so I stole her wheelchair. Guess who came crawling back?
You're canceled. Hot Wheels, you're canceled. Oh, I better not quote that senator.
That's so good. So I like how, all right, Brett, thank you, by the way, Christian, for it. So we have some really great stuff here right off the bat. We noticed Jet Li acts different. We saw this was a president, Al Gore, so clearly there was an alternate universe where he won the election. I thought what was even more amusing is when they show our world. Sure, they showed Bush, but what they showed Bush passing was like, yeah, if he actually did it, I would crucify that man. I would strip, be like, Bush, eat trash. Do not do this trash. Seriously. I was like,
oh, sorry, but I was just saying, it's an alternative reality. This is the Breaking Bad reality, right? Because Walt's brother-in-law is still a cop from Breaking Bad. Right?
I know about Walt being a cop. I have not watched, but I know exactly what you're getting at.
Yeah. So a little Breaking Bad here, maybe, right?
So I noticed too. So I know Redshirt was mentioning how this movie definitely has elements of The Matrix. I almost feel like there's also elements of a bit of a T2 in terms of guy in a police form on the run, and it's the two dudes who have to constantly be in combat with each other everywhere they go. And also there is a futuristic element. One is coming back from the past as well to go against the guy in the current. So there's definitely some T2 in there as well. And
yeah, they got to protect them, right? They got to save.
Yes, exactly. You're catching on now, Mark. I love it. I love it. So it's crazy how there's that T2 element. And then this movie kind of makes it a more fascinating watch 24 years later because it's a multiverse movie. And the way like shows and movies are run nowadays, that is such an expectation of things. And this was like a really ambitious and rare concept at the time. And it watches so differently because of how ahead of the curve they were. And also how they actually were able to tell more coherent stories with this concept. Whereas everyone else, they make everything so massive. And because everything's so massive, it becomes easier to reduce the stakes of it all because of it. So this movie really nailed the concept, and they try to still be as simple as they could while still telling ambitious concept, which that is a very tricky balance when you're trying to maintain multiverse and accessibility to a broad audience.
Yep. This is basically new to Hollywood 24 years ago, the multiverse concept. I mean, in science fiction literature, in books, this is one of the standard types of time travel / timeline stories. And it's most science fiction writers consider it to be the easiest to write. But you're right. The problem when you do it is how do you create stakes when you can just move to another timeline and evade your problems or whatever. And in this one, what they did was they said there's a major problem if one variant from one timeline becomes the only variant across all the universes, because that's a problem. And there are different theories of what would happen if he does. And one of them is the whole universe just evaporates. And so they did a good job. I think this is one of the better multiverse stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going all the way back to reading science fiction in the 1970s, right? People like Poul Anderson and his Time Police stories. This is not a bad story when it comes to this kind of timeline story. So it's pretty cool. And in that, it's for an relatively early Jet Li movie. It's surprisingly well written. I mean, a lot of his movies are just a whole lot of wire foo and whatnot,
which is fine because that's what you expect when you get Jet Li. So
right, and yes, but this one's a bit of an outlier for him and for the genre for 2001. But yeah, it's still. Believe me, you still have the fight sequences, you still have gunplay, you still have martial arts. It's all there. So as an action movie, it's still very, very. It holds up really, really well. And I loved the fact that Jason Statham is pissed off that he's not allowed to do what he wants to do because of procedure.
Oh, yeah, right. Procedure.
And finally, at the end of the movie, he decides, screw this. And he looks at the other guys and goes, it's procedure. And then he gives us the best ending we could possibly get to the movie because he finally goes, I'm done with following procedure. Screw that.
I love too, like when you see the evil Jet Li, you're like, holy crap. Even though we don't see him big, that's an actor. He's a guy who's there to bring charisma, enthusiasm, action. He's not meant there to be an actor's actor. And the fact that he comes on here and he actually sells me on the nature of being these good guy, bad guy. Oh, whoa! Look who decided to show.
Yeah, I'm here. The drugs do work. That's all I can say.
Yes.
There we go.
Guys, I'm
slightly loaded up on painkillers, but I thought, screw it, I'm here.
Better living.
Killed all the other ones of you in the alternate universe, so now you're much stronger now, right?
There's an alternative universe version of me who's 40 years younger and doesn't have back problems.
Better living through chemistry.
Yes, they do work. Trust me, they do.
Oh
work.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've had a bad knee, so I feel your pain. Although back is like the worst possible thing. I was a PT today doing my exercises at the trainer, and then like I crunched my knee, like almost fell down. He's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Do I look like I'm okay?" Give some drugs.
So my martial art is just getting up, standing up. No, I just overdid it today, and it just shouldn't be lifting and picking up things and putting them above.
That's what you have a wife for.
Exactly.
The drugs are able to successfully help you get up again. So that's good.
I've been lying on the floor for 4 hours. But never mind. Anyway, I'm here now.
Oh,
You're
glad
here
you're
now,
here.
and welcome.
We'll try not to make you laugh too much.
I'll be all right by tomorrow, I'm sure. Just backs are weird things.
Yes,
I'd rather have one than not have one, though.
True. Welcome to the show, Dr. Wiley's bastard son. This is your first time. Enjoy your stay. It's a really retardedly great time here. So please buckle up.
Enjoy.
Get a firm drink in your hand. And enjoy the ride. And what's up, Razy Fingers on the Rumble side as well. I love how in the scene where evil Jet Li's running, and the guy's like, holy crap, he's going 50 miles an hour. I'm like, holy crap, your radar detector scans a human running? That's even more impressive.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that is so funny. He's going so fast that his radar notices that. I don't know. To be fair, I don't know how radar detects work. Does it detect anything going 50 miles per hour, or does it supposed to only detect automobiles? But the fact that he went 50 miles, I laughed so hard at that.
It detects metal. Brian, I'm sure, can tell you also that the British put a wooden airplane in the Royal Air Force. The Mosquito, and the Mosquito was essentially the first stealth aircraft because radar does not reflect off of wood. It only reflected off the engine.
Well, it was basically made of balsa wood.
Yeah, well, it was made of plywood that was formed
Because it was
in
so
the shape.
light. It had to be extremely light. No defensive armaments. It was stealth and speed. That's what it had. Yeah,
exactly. But I mean, yes. So the answer to your question, Nick, is no. Radar bounces off of metallic objects. So I mean, if he had an adamantium skeleton, he'd register on radar.
True. Okay. That would make sense. That would absolutely make sense. Yeah, I could absolutely roll with that. It was just amusing to see, though.
that is one hell of a futuristic radar if it can register a guy running 50 miles an hour down the street and record the speed. Yes.
Yeah. And
we don't have that
LA
yet.
Look how clean LA looks. And
well, there was a sign. Do you remember the sign? The cleanest.
I left it the sign clean.
I laughed out loud. LA, the cleanest city. And I'm like, what?
Dude, like, seriously, LA looks great. Like, I'm watching this movie, and I'm sure at the time, maybe some people in the city probably said this is a dump. But when you compare it to now, it looks pristine. It looks like royalty. And I'm like, man, LA looks amazing here. And this came out at a time, I think I was in 7th grade when this movie came out. So I remember thinking, and I always wanted, when I was a kid, I wanted to live in California, and I always considered San Francisco or LA. So this made me think, oh man, LA, San Francisco is cool. Which one do I pick? And this movie kind of like, all it was doing was affirming my viewpoint. I wanted to leave. Now I can't wait to never live at either of them.
Yeah.
All right. So what year Mustang is this, everyone in the chat? It's a pretty easy one.
Retarded. How would I wouldn't know.
Oh, well, it's pretty easy to tell.
The
chat will get that. Chat will get. Well, it's obviously 60s, but yeah. What exact year?
Maybe
you have it. It is a 67.
Holy shit! No, I swear I didn't Google it. I swear.
That's a 60 because I have a 67, so I can tell it's a 67 Mustang. Yep.
Wow.
You can tell by the side scoops and the 67, 68 are very, very similar. But yep.
Well, I do have to say one thing. Jason Statham almost always gets to drive the coolest cars.
Oh yeah.
That's not that's not a 69 Mustang, guys. No,
I love it. They just want an excuse to say
I own a 67 Mustang.
Dude.
Yeah. Come on. I mean, that would be appropriate for this show, but it's
yeah.
But that's a little late.
All right, I'm gonna sell mine and get a 69. Yeah.
Okay, I think you need permission for that.
Yeah. That was a good one. You guys got me on April Fools. Yeah.
They got you, man.
They got me.
Yeah,
man.
I like the way, like, when you look at the numbers too. When I was talking about the technology age well, like, look at the way the numbers look. It still looks good, and even when you see because obviously you see them get sent to basically their version of the TVA, which Mark, I'm sure when you watched this, you probably thought about Loki.
I was just going to say that.
I'm like, holy crap, they got this concept down good, and they just call themselves multiverse agents.
Yeah.
And the fact that we have Jason Statham as a multiverse agent.
Yeah,
with a head of hair. I have to emphasize on the head of hair. Yeah, he actually looks funky with the head of hair. I'm like, almost like,
yeah, it looks good.
Scram, get rid of that shit.
What year did the TV? I think was it the Simonson run of the FF in the 250s?
Yeah, Simonson.
So that would have been. So that was late 90s. When some in the chat tell us when the TV.
I was just going to say, it's funny you mentioned hair because Reed has just posted this piece of trivia. Don't touch my hair.
What I remember from this film is Statham interviews joking that Jet Li kept saying, dude, have you seen Jet Li's hair move in this movie? It's like a fucking Pantene Pro V commercial at times.
Plastic hair.
Like, he might as well just grow it out and just start doing like...
It's got its own soundtrack. It's just it's a star in its own right.
Yeah, that's not hair. That's a helmet.
Dude, no, that hair has a place of living, a zip code. It's a taxpayer. Seriously, I don't know what that hair isn't doing. And it ain't even that long of hair, but yeah, he makes that shit rock. Like, he's got the best shampoo on the market with that shit. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And 13 King said he can rock both. See, I'm a pro bald man when it comes to Statham. He he is the bald man that I think he's just built for it. Like it makes him look that much more badass. I thought the haircut, it's like, yeah, sure, it's a nice full head of hair, but he doesn't look as badass. To me,
what would Jet Li look like bald? I wonder. Yeah, he look more badass, maybe.
maybe.
Depends. That depends on the shape of the head.
See, when sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying some guys rock baldness. 70s.
Yes,
does.
we do.
Yes. I don't. I don't. It just my head's not shaped right for not having any hair. But there are guys who just Patrick Stewart, absolutely much better looking bald. The one thing he said when he played when he was in Moby Dick and he had to wear a big long wig, he said it just felt weird. And I think he was absolutely right. As an actor, his look is better when his head's shaved. Statham, without doubt, looks better bald. Yeah, but that's the shape of the head. Some guys have heads that are made to be shaved bald, and some guys don't.
I believe Jet Li's hair is so good that it started taking its own film roles.
I don't know if you noticed, but Jet Li's hair got a separate credit.
It goes to parties without him.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes, but does it pull chicks? That's the question.
It pulls more chicks than he does. Yeah. He's jealous of his own hair.
Oh, his hair's getting blown away there.
I can't imagine Jet Li has problems pulling chicks.
Culture, it's not a weave. He actually has real hair. If you're listening out there, Culture Casino. I look kind of. I'm like, man, they make this shit look brutal, and that's freaking. This is just a PG-13 movie too.
Yeah,
this wasn't R. So you got to remember that.
There.
It was just like, oh, hey, look. Yeah. No, it was like they were definitely pushing the boundaries. I know that it was considered like a PG-16 or some weird thing in like some other countries. I'm like, what the hell's that shit? Like, just PG-13 or R, guys. We don't need to make this shit even more confusing, having a rating thrown in between two ratings like that. Come on. Come on.
There's no blood and guts in this movie, really, right?
It's not really a bloody movie. Like it's a dark movie. It's an intense movie. It's a very serious movie. With small moments of humor, but it never becomes a comedy. But it's a very consistently paced, action-wise, tonality-wise, character-wise. It's my brain. I just like fucking fried out. It's not trying to be anything. Fuck, I really lost my train of thought here where I was starting here. So I apologize, chat. Sometimes I have retarded moments. So if you remember,
sometimes. What do you mean sometimes?
True, happens a lot. Go ahead, Mark. Maybe I'll get.
I was
going to say,
also in your defense, when you're streaming, sometimes it's like, you're talking with your buds, but you always want to perform, right? You always want to make sure you have that blue pill ready to go. So, it's we all do it. So, but yeah, and we're all friends here having fun. So, we're good. Yep.
The other movie this reminds me of, although they are different styles of time travel stories, is Time Cop.
Yep.
I was thinking of that. I was thinking of that, yeah.
Which is probably the best written story
Marley Lee.
he was ever in. Oh, God.
Okay, thank you, 13 King style, for bringing back to my point I was getting to the rating. Yeah, it pushes all the boundaries of PG-13 while still being very accessible to not being R. I feel like they were getting away with as much as they could while still being accessible to try to have that accessibility rating. It's like you were finishing off my point. It's like you knew where I was going with it. So thank you, 13 King style. That's what's up, man. No, but I love the appearance. There's that one where he's got like the geeky nerd Jet Li. Then there's Bob Marley Jet Li.
Yeah, it's a culture appropriation Jet Li here.
Yeah,
it didn't exist back then, right?
That's just wrong. That right there is just wrong.
The smile makes it worse too. On their
It does. It does.
cheesy, like shit-eating grin smiles. Like, oh.
Didn't they say also in one universe he was gay in another universe?
Yeah. Oh no, he actually the best line was said about that because he was like, Funch, aka Statham, was like, in this you exist, in another you don't exist, in another you're married to the same woman, in another you're married to a different woman, in another you're married to a man, and then he's like, hey, I was like,
Yeah, and he spots him dead right there. Yes.
Yeah.
great toxic line. Hey,
Hey.
At least he was married. I mean, he was in a committed relationship. That's good.
Oh, 70s, you hit on something great. There was an
usually do.
interracial relationship in this movie, and no one gave a fuck
No,
at
they
all.
didn't.
Full stop. What's up, K. Roberts? It was just like, oh, hey, cool. Look, it's Jet Li with a white girl. Cool.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So no one cared.
At least it wasn't White Lee with a jet girl. That would have been awkward.
Yeah. Well, it's and I'll just do a little foreshadowing. That relationship becomes key to the end of the movie.
I love how actually when you look past like even what because like some people can look at this and think, oh, it's a complex movie. There's a simplicity aspect to it all, but there's also an underlying heart to this movie at all, which is something that can easily be overlooked when you're looking at the multiverse-ness and the serious nature of being a guy on the loose who is basically has your face and your look. There is actually a pretty impressive love story in there. Once again, it's more underlying, but you realize, wow, it does actually add to the backbone of Jet Li's character arc. It's actually pretty essential to his arc, actually.
It is, and that's the difference between what back then you had a Chinese character and a white Caucasian woman married, and it was part of the story. It was important to the story. Now they do it because they want that pairing just so they can say it's diverse. It's different.
Check
it's
some
not
boxes.
Yeah, they're ticking boxes. And yes, it's absolutely essential to the story that they're married and they're in a loving relationship and he really cares about her and vice versa. And it is what motivates him.
Oh, you did that on purpose, Mark.
Oh, my keyboard's stuck. Actually, the heading is wrong there. It should be the two.
The two.
Yeah, the two. Yes. And I don't know if anybody else did, but the minute I saw this woman, I went, she's sus. I was like,
she really stands out in that crowd. Seriously.
She does. She does. Something here does not belong.
I think they missed the opportunity. They could have made Eula in one of the universes, made him a woman, and then the two of them.
If this came out today,
and then the two meet. No, but then the two of them meet, and they're strangely attracted to each other. That would have been really awkward.
There would have been a hermaphroditic version. There would have been a midget version.
Hi, I'm you. You're very interesting, though, aren't you?
It's amazing how the
version. Oh, they would have definitely gone in with that, and then the main version would have been the trans, and then like it's a trans allegory because there's not actually the one. We're all the one.
That's right.
I say it sounds so ridiculous, but that's exactly.
See, but Jet Li then could have been really into himself if he was attracted to the female version of himself, and it would still have been it wouldn't have been familial because it was himself, so he could have got away with it.
And it's amazing how her character, her looks change, from the makeup, the outfit. It's just it's just like wowzers. But yeah, that's Mary Jane. They're making her a new version of Venom, and there was a really bad joke today on Twitter. It's like it's honey or something, riff on that tiger. You're so what's the line? You hit the jackpot. You hit the jackpot. And Mary Jane is Venom, and then the guy's clip was Peter Parker has been in both of them. I was like,
Oh, that's
this
a good
is so
joke.
bad. It was so bad because it's Venom and Mary Jane. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh god, how can they turn Mary
I just
Jane into
like
Venom?
to say that zip is doing sterling work in the front of her dress.
It's
Yes,
clear
yeah.
that they
You could be Mary
they-
Jane.
Yeah, no, she really could have. She actually looks more like Mary Jane than Kirsten Dunst did.
Yep.
I'll make that argument. I will say it right now. As much as I enjoyed that first movie a lot, one of my favorite comic book movies of all time, she rocks the part better, in my opinion, as far as her
sweet.
appearance. As far as appearance go, I feel like she looks more natural to the redhead. Even though
Yep.
she's not a natural redhead. That's the funny
She's
part.
not,
She is
yeah.
not. But she
Is-
looks more natural to it. She does. And especially with the purple dress. I mean, that's the type of outfits that Mary Jane will wear. Kirsten Dunst didn't really get into much of those type of outfits. She was just like a standard like preppy girl. A prep girl that didn't really get into the dress up mentality. Whereas Mary Jane is supposed to have the super dress up, high fashion
Supermodel
model thing going on. And this lady right here, she Carla Gugino, I can't remember how her last name's pronounced. She nails the part right off the bat.
No, she's great. Yeah. I think
So
you're
this-
saying Gugino. Yep.
So this penal colony they're sending to him to, it's in El Salvador, isn't it?
Oh,
Unfortunately, they
man.
sent the hairdresser there. So
It's like, as long as there's a hairdresser, I'm good.
Yeah, the symbolism, the names, the name of the penal colony and the universe that it's in are both basically taken from like the Divine Comedy. You know, they're both basically references to that version of hell.
Dante's Inferno. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from Dante's Inferno or the Divine Comedy, either one. But
That's
yeah,
a great shot right there.
yeah.
Let me go back.
Oh.
I thought we were gonna get a what was the movie?
What's Stevie Wonder doing here?
Oh, Stevie Wonder.
Just observing.
That's what they all
What was
That's
the
a
say.
movie with the
great
girl with
shot.
the crossed legs? That was
Basic Instinct.
Basic Instinct. Yeah, I was like, are we
Sharon
Basic
Stewart.
Instinct movie? Yeah. What's she pulling out there? Yeah. And then she goes to her feet for a mouse, like a mouse bomb. It's
Dude,
like
the
of all
mouse
things.
bomb, bro, that was some shit. I'm like, holy crap! I'm actually impressed that the mouse stood there that long and didn't eat the inside of her shoe.
Yeah, and stuck
Just
in there. I
saying.
mean, I
Well, at
hope
least
he
it
had
wasn't a
enough hair
toy
there.
robot. Oh no, it's a toy robot.
Yeah, that's true.
Kentucky Fried
Nick,
Movie.
And I think this mouse had really big balls.
It's
the
called- look
balls
at
on
the
that
size
mouse.
of those.
Ah, dude,
Jesus
yeah, yeah,
Christ.
the-
Wait a minute. I gotta say, I just realized this. The predecessor to the CIA tried to weaponize rats in World War II. They inserted a bomb into the rat, a dead one. I mean, wasn't a live rat like this.
Okay.
And the Germans intercepted the first shipment of rat bombs. This is from the Fat Electrician, wonderful channel, by the way, if you like history and you like funny way of telling history. So the Germans intercepted the first shipment that was supposed to go to their spies in Europe, and the Germans spent the rest of the war checking every single dead rat they found to see if it had a fuse sticking out of its butt.
Like this rat.
Yeah, like this. That's why I said this is what reminded me of it. I went, "Holy shit, that's the rat bomb."
He's got a fuse up his butt. The poor
Yes.
poor mouse. God.
Yeah, I just as soon as I saw that, I went, "Oh shit!" I just saw a YouTube video about that.
I mean, on the big screen, that must have been a big ballsy mouse. I mean, God.
Yeah, that was the Peter
That's the C4.
of rats.
Yeah,
He had
Well,
he was
that's
carrying a package.
That's some huge balls, kind of like my
Huge.
name on Twix. I had to. That was an opportunity. I don't pass.
Can't
up
pass that up.
opportunity.
No,
No.
you got to go with it.
Oh yeah. So I'm glad, especially once again knowing what I know now, not just once again on top of like the multiversal aspect, underlying love story. I try to imagine every scenario possible, and I say this with absolute sincerity and no disrespect to Dwayne Johnson, but I don't see how he would have rocked this movie the same way. I know he would have had like a more like a brawler style as far as like The Rock facing The Rock, but I don't feel like he definitely would not brought the same amount of spectacle in fights compared to Jet Li. And I'm not saying that. I know it's easy to make fun of The Rock because his career is really reliant on ensemble casts, but I feel like he would have not been able to carry himself against himself the same way Jet Li can. Which, to be fair, if I heard Jet Li carrying himself against himself, I don't want to say I'd be against it, but like, okay, let's see where this goes. I don't know, but maybe. The Rock, I just don't.
The Rock would have stopped to admire himself.
The Rock always plays himself, so you know.
Yeah, which is fine. I'm not even bugged by that concept, honestly, because a lot of movies I love, the actors kind of mostly play themselves. But I feel like he just would not had the same edge of your seat suspense, like with all the running and the crazy fast jumping. And then, of course, the fights. I mean, especially the big fight at the end. The fight really pays off. I don't feel like that fight would have been anywhere as good. There's something about kung fu fights that always hit differently. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my big guy brawler fights. Those will always be bread and butter for me. But something about martial arts fights, two guys at their peak, and this time it's Jet Li against himself. Man, every movie, you take any movie, good, bad, average, sucky, and then you throw in martial arts, it always gets an extra point or two to me just because it has martial arts in it.
You know, I was just reading that I didn't know that much about Jet Li. I obviously knew he was a champion, but I found something that said he was competed against adults. He was an all-around national champion from 75 to 79. Winning first place caused quite a sensation because I was so young. I was 12 years old, so he was beating like guys in his 20s when he was 12 years old. So, and they said during the awards ceremony, I was on the top of the podium, but I was still shorter than the second and third place medalists. You know, just so he was, you know, a prodigy in karate. You can tell too, just the skills. It's obvious, yeah. It's a movie, but you can see how quick and fast and how amazing his his fights are, which makes part. That's why this movie is so much fun too. And the other part that's great too is, as he's killing off all the other versions of themselves, the good guy, the cop version that we're rooting for, keeps getting stronger and more powerful too. Because in the beginning you see him punch the jail bar, the metal bars, the jail cell, and the bars are bending. You're like, what is this? The $6 million man? I mean, it's just crazy. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's Bush with outlining his plan for universal health care that was driving Nick to crazy.
Oh, dude. Oh man, I saw so like that was what they had for the mainstream George Bush for the main universe. I didn't mean to say mainstream, the main universe. Of course they did. Which sadly, now knowing what we know now about George, that actually does sound more in line with it nowadays.
Yeah,
sadly. So I guess that movie was correct. That movie wasn't correct then, but it's definitely more correct now about it. So I will say another thing that this pulled off well is the look of other universes. Because once again, the technology wasn't fully capable to nail that concept. Working with what they had, they were to make sure you still had a little bit of a distinction of the universes. So like, oh, okay, I can tell this place is a little bit different. Nowadays, there are better distinctions of knowing places. This movie obviously had more limitations at the time because we weren't as advanced as we are. But this movie still made that concept very believable. It wasn't just Jet Li and the good version of him versus the bad version, but the way LA looked, I was actually impressed with that. I was like, wow, once again, this movie, 24 years later, the concept still looks great. And that was harder to achieve at this time.
Yes. And to extend your comment about Jet Li, I mean, Jet Li was a martial artist first and then got into acting. Similar to David Carradine and Chuck Norris. And I think that of the three of them, Carradine was probably the first to break out of the martial arts training that he'd received. And the reason I say that is having studied but not really learned martial arts. the whole concept of being centered, which is in this movie, is essential to martial arts. The problem is if you're centered, you're not emoting. You don't show fear. You don't show pain. You know, I mean, I was literally taught in 6th grade in judo that if you get hurt, don't limp. Don't let anyone else see you limp, because that's a weakness. That shows vulnerability. So the actors like Norris in particular and Jet Li, who started out as martial artists, had to sort of break out of the martial arts training they'd had in order to act. And in this one, Jet Li is actually doing a better job than I expected at playing two different characters.
He's not who you'd expect to pull that off, and that's why even I would, if I heard this concept, let's just say if I was an adult when this came up, I would say, okay, the action's gonna be great, but how is he gonna pull off that type of story? Because that's, once again, he's not someone who you think of acting when you think, which is fine. We don't go to him for that, but the fact that he does pull it off and sell me on the concept, it actually feels really authentic. I'm actually buying into this, especially some of the scenes later on. I was like, holy crap, this shit's actually, it's freaking working. It was really working. And like they're the only like subtle hint, especially when they get in similar outfits, of which one is the other, is the line of the missing wedding ring on Good Jet Li. And that's the only distinction you really have once they both get into similar looking outfits. How inconvenient.
Well, one's circumcised and one
nice
isn't.
one, James Wong. By the way, he directed and produced this movie, James Wong. So this was him getting nowadays he's a lot more mainstream, but this is a man at the time. This is him getting his feet wet.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mark.
I was just gonna say one's circumcised and one's not, but
I
was thinking Face Off. We always picked on Face Off. It's like, all right, yeah, they put the faces on, but it's like they each sleep with the other wives. It's like there ain't no way that the other person's not gonna realize that something different is going on around here, But it's a movie where they transplanted faces, so I guess you ignore it. But yeah, I mean the fight scenes right away are just he's basically like a superhero in this. He's like the Punisher, with Daredevil and Batman rolled into one in terms of how strong he is. The only thing I wanted to ask, what you guys thought I'm just going to call them TVA agents for lack of
multiverse agents.
Multiverse agents.
Yeah, multiverse. Yeah. But I don't blame you for why you thought about the TVA. Yeah. I don't blame you.
Do they have like a genetic modification? Are they stronger? Because like with Jet Li think of it, he's able to punch iron, right?
Well,
how are they being able to fight?
Evil Jet Li mentioned the more of himself that he killed,
the more power he gets.
Yeah.
How can he be fought then? Yeah, I mean, unless you've got the similar equal power.
Well, that's the thing. It was down to those two. So they both had that.
No, the agents though.
The agents, how did they arrest? Where's the powers that they've got?
Well, the agent that went up against evil Jet Li in the ambulance gets his ass kicked in the end, and it's almost like watching again. Go back to the Matrix. It's almost like watching Morpheus fighting Agent Smith. Mm-hmm. He can slow him down and score a few hits, but in the end, he's not a match for Agent Smith, and he doesn't expect to be. He expects to give the rest of the group time to get out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, he wouldn't even be able to do anything to the if you're that strong where you can, I'm just being a nitpick here on the.
I agree.
I mean,
levels. It's unreasonable.
If been steel in my hands, it's like one punch and you're being Guy Gardner. I mean, you're out. I mean, it's yeah, it's got it doesn't work. It fits the story to have these agents. But what I was trying to say was that they should have put in something like they had a super suit that kind of augmented them with strength or something so they could fight this guy who's got all this power.
It's some kind of ray that they fire at him.
It's clear as a multiverse agent. I mean, granted, it's not explained, but what I got is these are multiverse agents. It's clear these guys are specialists who deal with these types of issues. It's clearly not their first rodeo. It's clear that they do this type of stuff for their job. So this is far from the first rodeo of dealing with outliers who mess with the multiverse. So that's
Right.
why I got out of it. So for me, that concept was not really necessary.
And Jet Li is actually a multiversal agent as well, too. Then they explain that later, and then he had to kill one of the versions of themselves, and that's when he figured out that he got stronger.
Mhm.
So then it went to his head. Yeah. So it's a good setup. It's a great.
But does it
sci-fi
only?
setup.
Yeah, but does it only apply to Jet Li's character, or does anyone else that can travel through multiverses kill themselves in that multiverse and get stronger, or is it
Yes.
just him?
Yes,
No.
I think that's part of the reason that travel between the multiverses is so regulated,
Mhm.
because that is why
Anybody could get
multiverse-
stronger. Yeah.
Anyone can if they eliminate the alternatives, and
Hmm.
that's part of the job of the multiverse agents is
Mhm.
to control access between the multiverses.
So, but the Gabe character then, he gets stronger too, but he's not killed anybody. Is it just because he's one of the only remaining one other than the guy that's trying
Yep.
to kill him? So
Yes.
he also gets stronger inadvertently. He doesn't know anything
Yes.
about it.
And
Exactly.
he doesn't know. Exactly. You nailed it, son. You see,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. The more you put your thinking caps on it, this movie really does answer like a lot of tough like content, and the things that you don't, you can connect the dots on what is going on. This movie does stay within those lines. It knows that it's pushing once again a really tough concept, so it tries to deal with as less as possible, because the more you deal with, the more you do have to answer for. So, and it's clear that the writers were aware of that when they were writing this movie. And I can imagine writing this type of concept, it's hell. Even if you're a good writer, this type of concept is always hell. There's no it's
Yeah.
almost a bit of a lose-lose in a lot of ways. So I really applaud the effort, because it wasn't like they were trying to just like, okay, well, this is the best we could do, just roll it. No, you could tell they really put their all into this. So really quickly, there's a great line where they're talking about how he was talking about how he's got to kill all 123 of himself. If that line came out today, he'd be like, that's 123 versions of myself I gotta fuck.
So
That's how it'd be nowadays.
Just
that raises it. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say something before the conversation went past it. Nick Weiser, the fact that one of them is getting stronger because he knows why and he's killing his alternatives, the other one gets stronger but he doesn't know he is why the agents first, quote, break protocol and split up. Because they realize that if they can't arrest the murderers, Jet Li character, they're going to have to kill both of them.
Yeah.
Because the one who isn't trying to become the one will become the one. And they don't know what will happen then.
Or if it'll go bad, or become stay.
Well, it might make the universe. It might make the universe disappear. They don't know. There's theories, but there's nobody's ever done it before.
Don't cross the streams.
I can't remember if they addressed this, but why is there only 124 universes, or was there just 124 that happened?
No, they didn't say universes. They said of Jet Li's character.
Yeah, so there are going to be millions and billions of alternative universes, but only 124 that he's in.
You know what? That makes sense. And once again, and that's a good way of not having to answer for universes, because there could be universes where he just flat out doesn't exist. You know,
there's nothing.
I'm better with that,
Jason.
because if you address it like that, once again, you're opening up a whole other can of worms of So once again, this was really thought out, and that was a smart way of going about just addressing the versions of this character rather than addressing the universe in general.
Well,
So
Statham actually says that.
This movie can be a bit of you're right. He does. This movie can be a bit of a blueprint if you want to be a competent writer and learn how to handle the concept of the multiverse. This movie nails a lot of those concepts like very well.
Yes, there's the universe where Jet Li died in childbirth.
Yes.
So he never existed. There's the one where he was hit by a car when he was a kid, or the school bus, or run over, or whatever. So he doesn't exist. So there's tons of universes.
The other
where,
one where he was forced to view Snow White over and over in 2025 and passed away.
Yes, and self-deleted. Yes. But yeah, the thing is that in the multiverse concept, there are all of the variations are possible, but you're not in every variation. So it doesn't.
Just dying in that variation doesn't make somebody more powerful in another multiverse. You have to kill your own multiverse equivalent.
Well, there's a certain.
You have to kill them. If they just die and it's nothing to do with you, it doesn't make you more powerful.
Yeah, because
no. You don't have to
be dying all the time.
But you don't have to kill them, because both of these guys are getting more powerful at the same time. The point is that once you're, what he chooses is an overt act to cross between the universes, which is not what happens to most people. What just doesn't happen to most people. And I'm trying to figure out how to explain this, which is hard to do.
Oh, you're saying because he's in the other universe, taking out the version of himself, that's why he's getting the power?
And the others are getting the power, and everyone he takes out
he's
makes
crossing the universe.
I believe so. That's
he's a
again
conduit or something.
Yes, and exactly. This is the whole point of this.
Because if you just accidentally die in your own universe, it doesn't make Jet Li in another universe stronger.
Right. But that's why multiverse stories are such a bear to write, so that it's tense.
There's so many rules that you got to have. You have to have some rules. But what are those rules? Which are the ones you want?
The way the way I've been feeling, and probably Brian's been feeling, there's probably hundreds of us now in the other multiverses, not less. So we're getting weaker, right? It's like,
The thought of this show existing in 300 timelines terrifies me.
I feel
There's
sorry for
probably
that.
a super PC version of this show that exists out there, and they probably they talk about Wicked, and they probably talk about Barbie.
You're watching Mamma Mia right now.
they probably have anything that has I don't know, like a Justin Timberlake looking guy in the movies. That's probably what it is. That's probably actually what it is. No, I have to talk to the doctor.
But that is, by the way, I mean, Brian, I know you're a fan of science fiction as much or more than I am. And what the problem with all multiverse stories, whether they're, old science fiction or movies or what have you, is that yes, there are so many variations, you can't answer every question. You have to pick a set of things to deal with.
Well, you have to have some rules. Or if you don't have any rules, then there's absolutely 0 point to any movie or film or any TV show, because there's nothing can't be done. Therefore, there's no tension. There's no stakes. So you got
there's a universe where this show is reviewing Twilight.
Tame Tuesday. Hey, we should do Twilight as a joke. It's April the 1st. We should have done it as a joke.
Give me the chance.
Right, Nick.
Give me the chance, asshole. I love Jason Statham's in and out American and British accents coming and going, both of them simultaneously. I was like, wow, were they really trying to Americanize? Usually the Brits always nail American accents like that. Jason Statham was the
He can't do it.
No, it's really weird because Brits fucking get it down like that.
Yeah, well, those are the trained actors. Jason's not as trained as that, is he? He's from the East End, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's not Shakespearean.
I mean, Michael Caine is also from East London, Southeast London. He never tried to change his accent.
Apart from this one movie.
Well, Chin Chin, do carry on with your mad time.
That's the one movie he did. Zulu.
None of you married to the same woman. None of you married to a different woman. None of you married to a man. Hey.
In the ass?
Oh, Mark, you did it again.
I'm sorry, 70s. If that was supposed to be Michael Caine doing an American accent, I wasn't buying it.
It wasn't American. It was Michael Caine in Zulu, trying to do a trying to do a posh accent. As
Oh,
opposed to,
yeah.
Compact,
Well,
yeah.
no, he needed Roger Moore as a dialect coach then.
So, okay, without Googling,
My name is
chat,
Bond, James Bond.
Without Googling it, how many times have Jet Li and Jason Statham collaborated together? I know the answer, but I want to see who knows their action movies. I know the magic number.
They were in Expendables, right? I'm not spoiling it for Pat, but I'm trying to.
Well, we did do a Taxi Tuesday and the Expendables, and they're both
yeah,
in it. Statham was Christmas, and Jet Li fought the biggest dick that Brandon Lee ever saw on a man named Dolph Lundgren. 13 King Style says 4 times. Okay, so that's one comment.
So they were in 3 Expendables together.
Okay.
So it's 3, 4, 5. I can't think of anything else.
69.
69 dudes. Come on, there's a 69 times Jack Nomino says. All right, I'll give you a few more seconds. By the way, chat, in 15 minutes, we are transitioning exclusively to Rumble. Okay, so we already got 14 of you over there on Rumble, and the Rumble chat's actually very active. By the way, I love it. Thank you guys for being active on Rumble. It's absolutely badass. So. That's what we love to see here. We have a nice crowd here on YouTube as well, which is badass. But dude, big old police ass explosion. I love the distinction of the guns, the laser Star Wars sounding guns versus the traditional bullet guns. I thought that was cool to see. At first, I thought, oh, was this movie trying to like do that weird concept with gun? They can't have bullets until you realize, oh no, that's just their universe and their guns. I like that because. You gotta remember, there's sometimes movies and cartoons that were conscientious, even then, of guns and how they were portrayed.
The war.
Nominal says 7.
War was the other war. So there's 3, 4. I thought it was 6, but
okay.
Is there another? There might be another
5.
One. So the 3 Expendables, this movie,
and
the
war.
ones war. No, wasn't he in? Oh no! I thought he was in something else.
5. The 3 Expendables.
So it's 5.
First 3, and then War, which came out like 07 or 09. I think it was 07.
So it's 5. Okay,
so 5 overall. So yep.
That was. I had to think about that.
They really like each other. Maybe it was love, and they just never came out and told us about it. I mean, some guys, I like that Jet Li and Jason Statham, but. I couldn't let Jet Li have all the fun. That's why I got him working on The Working Man. Because
maybe he really likes Mel Gibson.
That Mel Gibson guy, Go back to the room. Oh. Yeah, seriously. I look at the hairdo. I'm like, shit. I also want to just like get like a razor and just like get back over here. You gotta shave your head again. That shit looks weird, dude. It looks fucking weird. Come on, man. Just get rid of it. You are a shaved head man. It's okay. It seems like he's embraced it since, but man, I just see it. It just to me is funky. It is really funky. I'm always bummed that we didn't get Jet Li leaving the hospital in a gown. That would have been great. It's a missed opportunity. 9 times wrong movie. What? What are you going on about, Darth Viewer, Flux Capacitor? What you talking about, Willis? I want to know, Willis. Okay, yeah. But I see my buddy Juggalo Deathcox in the chat, who I hung out with earlier today in the flush. We went to this place called Dave's Hot Chicken, and they have like 7 variations of spicy chicken. He got the highest one, which is called the Reaper. And
you should never feel that way.
He actually had to sign a they actually needed him to sign a waiver before he gave
if you die, yeah.
There's a reason for that.
It was very amusing to watch. I had this.
Do you have to pay your bill first before you can get that order? Like, do they take your credit card before?
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah, you have to pay in advance.
Yeah, I had the 3rd highest. There was hot, extremely hot, and then Reaper. I just had hot Because there's 7 levels, and I basically
It's
have the
hot,
equivalent of level 5.
hot, extremely hot, and fuck me.
I mean, I've had some of that stuff. It's so hot you can't even enjoy what you're eating.
I know.
It's like
Well, you
what's the
can't.
point?
You can't taste it.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's
burning
named
yourself.
after the pepper with the Carolina Reaper.
Yeah.
And oh man, no, that's the kind of thing they use in pepper eating contests that, you know, separate the crazy people from the normal people. And by the way, if you eat one of those things, I can promise you the next morning you will pass 3 motorcycles and you won't need a car.
Yeah, and watch out if you got contact lenses, because whenever I do my chili, even the just the hot stuff, and then a couple times I go to take the contacts out at night, and the oil's on your
results
finger,
about it.
and you're
Hey,
like,
my guts are settled. My butthole is
That's the first time I made Chinese food for one girlfriend. I was in her kitchen cooking in the wok, frying up the peppers, and her cat walked into the kitchen, and I turned around just in time to see the cat freeze in mid-stride as the pepper fumes hit it. And it ran out of the kitchen, dove into the hallway closet, and hid underneath the clothes, underneath a bunch of piled coats in the hall closet, and wouldn't come out for 2 hours.
calling the ASPCA on you.
Yeah, right. PETA wants a word.
And you were cooking vegetables. See, there was a vegetable hurting an animal.
Yes, exactly.
And these fights are all. This is really good, and this reminds me of Terminator 2 and the psychiatric hall. Right?
Yes,
Yes,
I thought T2 too when I saw this scene. It was impressive too, is even though and it was a good way of deceiving you at first of it being the good Jet Li or badly Jet Li, because he beats a cop, but he doesn't try to outright murder the crap out of them. He bruises them. He bruises them. But he doesn't do anything that causes like a bloodbath or a slaughterhouse. So I was
no murder,
there's a little bit of restraint. So is that just him being desperate and trying to get on the run, or is that him trying to being bad Jet Li and trying not to blow too much of a cover so he doesn't get greater I guess you could say authoritative forces on his ass. So I thought that was actually really clever to make you think about which one it is. Because obviously the good Jet Li would probably only fight these type of guys who are his obviously his buddies, his coworkers, when he's in a situation where he's really desperate. And that's not something he ideally wants to do. And he does try to pull off that look of desperation of trying to get out as he's on the way out. So I thought that was actually a really clever way of making you think who's who.
Yep. But I mean, that's built into the martial arts that he learned.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, David Carradine actually laid it out in the television series Kung Fu, because it's from the idea of martial arts. You stop before hurting, you hurt before injuring, you injure before maiming, and you maim before killing. So you never use more force than you absolutely need to use when you're really expert at martial arts, which is why people who aren't trained, who get lucky, are dangerous because they don't have that restraint. And it's even in full contact competition. I mean, there's all of that, and that's part of the whole thing about sweep the leg in Karate Kid. That's a dangerous move you shouldn't be doing in a competition, and it results in an injury. And you don't need to score an injury. You don't need to inflict injury. You could just score a point. So that's built into martial arts, almost all of them that I've ever heard of, and certainly the ones that I studied and that I've talked with people about. So
is sweeping the leg illegal in a competition?
I think he got penalized.
Like
I believe he got penalized for it in that competition, if I remember correctly.
Look at what these guys were into. Did you catch what these guys were into? They had some really weird kinks.
Yeah.
Females.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she'll do, guys. That girl stuff gets old.
I gotta say, I think I know who Janine. Which Janine they were referring to. Linda Mulder.
I have no idea who or what that is.
Porn actress who only did lesbian scenes.
Oh, okay.
I admire that. I admire that. She had boundaries. I admire that.
He had boundaries, yes.
And that was back when it was tough to get prawn.
Yeah.
I take a
you had-
dicking, but I had to be selective on how my dickening goes.
Yeah, Richard had to star in it to get it.
I needed to know somebody who knew somebody to get that stuff.
Oh fuck, dude! When I was in high school, the gas station guy next to the school sold that shit. I'm not joking. The gas
explains
station
everything.
guy. It was that. I don't know if you guys ever had the company by you. It seems like I don't think they exist, but they're called Marathon.
Oh yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah,
I've seen 'em.
Marathon. The main clerk at the Marathon gas station sold, and yeah, because I remember I saw him one day while someone was buying cigarettes, and I saw him open the door, and I saw him let the one kid in, and I heard the kid go, "Wow, there's a lot of tapes here." And I'm just thinking in my head, "Oh my god, this is weird hearing this from the outside." I left my ass off. I'm like, guys, it is true. They do that shit. Because I had heard it, I thought it was just people just spreading gossip until I heard it. I'm like, wow, that's fucking. This is really a reality. This is a hell of a timeline. That was in 2005 when that shit was going down. Jeez. Don't worry about stuff going into your back door. The stuff will be going out the back door. Yeah. All right, by the way, chat, 5 minutes so we transition proper. Just when I find something I like about this universe. Well, Jet Li, I don't know if I could do the new metal of songs, but I get your point. But we can find better metal for you that actually is, dude. All right? I forgive you for that. You were working with what James Wong wanted you to work. James Wong. That sounds like dude. And this is once again another clever way of who is he not, because he's got the gun. He acts like he's gonna shoot him, but if he were the bad version, he would have not held on to him. He would just let him go to die. But they kind of add some suspense there to make you think, is he not? So obviously you eventually pick up, okay, this is the protagonist, but still, when you look at first, like, oh shit, like maybe there's a question that the bad version like needs to hold on to him just to see, but then you think about, oh, okay, no, it's a good thinker. It's a really solid thinker. So I really, once again, I appreciate these. Once again, man, look how amazing LA looks at night. It looks like a little bit. I call Mike. Hey, Mike, want to go outside? Go get some fried chicken somewhere. Mark, like, yeah, Nick, let's go call up Red Shirt. Yeah, let's get Red Shirt. Oh, I hear 70s is home. Let's go get 70s, and we'll go out for a night in the town in LA. No big deal. You believe it's the only universe? There's not just one universe. There's a multiverse.
There's a multiverse.
And every time I started a black hole, when I heard that, so I'm like, oh boy, big black hole. And when a big black hole will occur, I was like, oh boy, getting homoerotic there. I didn't know the multiverse had a kink to it as well. I'm a multiverse agent. I'm glad they kept with a simple multiverse agent. Yeah, they had to have a big fancy name. Granted, I know TVA has existed in old school Marvel, to be fair, but I like that it was just simple, straightforward. We don't need to have some excessive, pretentious alphabet agent like we're the government type of bullshit. It's just, yeah, we're just multiverse agents, bro. Okay, so once again, accessibility and trying to still stick within a very, very narrow margin of this multiverse concept, because once again, the more territory you lurk on, the more you have to answer for. So it makes me wonder how long it took to write something like this, because there's only like, I think 1 or 2 writers on this. Yes, guys, once upon a time there's only 1 or 2 writers on something. It wasn't an average of 7 to 8 writers, or a screenplay by 1 or 2, and then they tack on 6 or 8 more to rewrite into whatever it turns into. You actually had some consistency on that.
Yeah, the other thing I was thinking when watching this too was, what if Jet Li's Gabe character, they could have had him, go bad too, as he gets drunken with power, right? You wonder, like, he's the hero obviously in this, but Yulaw, I guess, is the bad guy, right? But you're wondering, like, maybe he gets a little bit of this power. With great power comes great responsibility. And the movie was pretty tight, but they could have experimented with that a little bit too, like getting drunk on the power that he's got, and just to show that maybe going to the dark side a little bit, but pulling it back, because he's got an incredible amount of power at this point, right? There are only two left, so.
Well, I know this is an old enough movie that I'm not spoiling it, but I've wanted to make this point, and it addresses what you just said, Mark. The two of them are hard to tell apart, and they're very evenly matched in the final fight until the good Jet Li character sees the pale ring on his ring finger where his wedding ring used to be.
Yep.
And he says at one point in the car when they're riding, he says, my grandfather told me that the energy of life is like a circle, but you're never complete until you find your center. And
that was
she centered
a really touching line.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was impressed with that, because that's like really some heartfelt shit in an action movie.
Well, that's again, I can say from martial arts, that idea of being centered is key to martial arts. I always said that Chuck Norris had to learn to not be centered so well as a karate expert, because when he didn't look like he was doing anything or feeling anything or saying, it just sounded like he was reciting lines. He didn't emote. So that concept is essential. That would be something Jet Li would really understand on a personal level, so that he could say with absolute sincerity. Now, the thing is that once he remembers his wife in that final fight by seeing where his wedding ring used to be, that centers him, because even though she's no longer there with him, she's gone, but she was his center. And looking at his hand reminds him of where his center was.
Like Luke Skywalker, there is another.
It's more like like use the Force, Luke.
Yeah, but when that always in Jedi, when Darth finds out there's Leia, and Luke takes it up another. It's not an exact parallel, but that's when the fight goes to another level for the hero. Right? He's got something more to fight for, or he's remembering why he's fighting. Yep. So,
exactly. So there's motivation.
You look fantastic in here. What level black belt are you? Right.
All right, dudes, we got to get ready to transition over to Rumble exclusive. Some people have already done that, which, by the way, thank you for doing. There's already almost 20 of you on Rumble. Let's get ready to fucking rumble. Let me get this shared, okay? Because, well, we got to come big time for the Rumble. So I just want us to show us, because Scribe Light has showed this off, and well, I can't not have this.
That's amazing. That's great work,
right? It's just really, really state of the art stuff. Just absolutely incredible. So, thank you, Scribe Light. Damn it, here we go. Finally, this thing has been. My internet's really acting up on me right now. I'm trying to set. There we go. I got the share link. All right, chat. One last time. This is the Rumble link. We are transitioning. Mark, go ahead. Just keep the slideshow going.
Yeah. Well, you have the overlay on, so yep.
I know. I just keep it going anyway.
It's going, it's going. Yep.
15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we are coming out of the closet and transitioning to Rumble.